Begin transmission. Hello, everybody. It is Outer Rim Transmission 146. We are back. My return back from the great New England, Boston, PAX East 2024. First time out there. So, yes, I was having a lot of fun. So, I'll talk a little bit about that today. But yeah, I'm joined by Ben. We have a lot of Star Wars to catch up on. Oh my gosh, man. Lucasfilm just dropped all this news knowing I was going to be away. Plus, we have 2 episodes of Bad Batch and an entire trailer to somehow talk about all in this show tonight. I know it's a different night that we're recording. Tried to give you guys much a heads up, but it is Easter on Sunday, so none of us are going to be available to record. So we're going to take a primetime slot on Thursday and give it a whirl because, it's always fun for some of our viewers that can't watch us on Sundays to catch us during the week. So there you go. For those of you that are, educators and stuff, I guess you guys are on spring break, so hopefully you're enjoying that. But yeah, Ben, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. It's great to be back. Always fun to catch up and talk some Star Wars, especially after having a little time off and just been working out, just doing the normal fitness thing lately and getting ready for the Easter weekend to have some good food and whatnot. So yeah, it's just been a pretty good 2 weeks. For the past couple weeks for me, I haven't had anything like crazy in Star Wars to talk about other than like all of our news topics basically we're going to be talking about tonight. But overall, like for me, just with Star Wars, for my week in Star Wars, mainly the past couple weeks, it's just been like continuing to listen to Survivor's Quest, which that's just been a really good book so far and whatnot. And also, just a fun fact, shout out to one of my friends, Alex. He actually had a big Star Wars checkmark accomplishment that we'll all be jealous of that he accomplished this past weekend. Down in Indianapolis, Indiana, he went to a convention and he got to meet and take a picture with Anthony Daniels. But even better, he got to meet and take a picture with Hayden Christensen this weekend. And I was so jealous.
Goodness.
Yeah, I was like, holy smokes. He said it was like a 4 or 5 hour line.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 4 or 5 hour line. Now listen to this. The way they had done it, he said, was they had gotten a so he did so when they were in line at first for it, they warned him. They were like, oh, he's not like hugging or anything like that today, just fist bumping and stuff and moving on. And when my friend got up there, he was getting his picture and whatnot, and he was like, oh yeah, Hayden, like, you were like such a big inspiration for me and like blah, 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 blah. And he said Hayden actually gave him a hug out of all people. And he said he was like one of the few that actually got just a big hug from Hayden Christensen.
Oh, and man.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap. And the craziest part too, so they like shuffled him back around and put him back in line for like autographs after the picture.
Yeah.
And of all things, after he went through all the people and everything, he remembered my friend. He was like, oh yeah, you were the one that I hugged earlier today when we were doing the photo ops. And my friend was like really freaking out then because he was like, holy crap, Hayden Christensen recognized me. So that was kind of my week in Star Wars, just getting to hear a pretty excited, freaking out friend getting to meet Hayden over the weekend.
That's pretty cool how he was able to go not once but twice to meet him, because I have experience, can't really see, I guess. I can position the camera up real quick. There you go. You got Leia. You got Luke Skywalker with me. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but that was at New York Comic Con. And if anybody has ever done that, the photo ops at these conventions, they shuffle you and shuffle you out. You get like 15 seconds of interaction, right? You just go in, they do your thing, boom, and then you're out. Like you say hi, shake their hands. I really appreciate your work. It inspired me. And they say, oh, appreciate it. And they go to the next person. So it's really cool that your friend was able to actually make a lasting impression on this guy who's meeting literally thousands of people all day long. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Now I'm jealous. I wasn't able to go with him because I was busy this past weekend. But man, also on top of that, I was like, Hayden was there. I would have loved to do that. But also, even I mean, obviously Hayden's the best, but also in terms of for all of our Legends fans, and of course, everybody, the great icon there, Timothy Zahn, was there as well. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I would have loved to like get an autograph and whatever from him, just because like I just love his work.
So that's what the convention was that was happening this weekend, because me and Matthew Neugebauer over at the Star Wars Underworld on Tractor Beam last night, He was
See
talking
the
about
picture of Hayden and Timothy.
with the book, with his
Yep.
book, like with yeah. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I was seeing that make the rounds. I'm like, I wonder what convention that was. So that's pretty
Yeah, that
neat.
was about 4 hours from here.
Yeah, it probably would have been worth the drive, I guess. But
I
the
know.
Boston's about 5 hours from me, so it's kind of like almost similar sort of thing. Yeah. So
Yeah. Now speaking of you, so I'm assuming your week in Star Wars was what you were talking to us about in the chat, like with the retro games and stuff.
yep.
How did that go?
Oh, it went awesome. That's how it went. Because as much as you go to like a convention to see the latest and greatest, they were open till 12 a.m. every night, which is unheard of for a lot of the conventions. I usually go to they close by like 10. A lot of these conventions, like New York Comic Con and stuff, or at least like the main events closed. But they had console free play where you could just go up and they had every system from Sega Genesis to Sega Dreamcast to NES, Atari, GameCube, N64, like every system basically ever created was there, multiples of them, and you would get to go up to the guy and he would, they had a large list of every game, like most of the big hits for every one of the systems. He would go up and be like, hey, I will take Jedi Power Battles for the Dreamcast. So you give him your license as collateral, and then you get to walk away with the game and play for 30 minutes, and then you have like a 30-minute time limit. So yeah, I was playing Jedi Power Battles on a Sega Dreamcast and just reliving my childhood. I actually only ever had it on a PlayStation, but I was like, I gotta play
Yeah.
on Dreamcast. I gotta play Dreamcast. It's been a while. I never had one, but yeah, that was fun. I have a little bit of a video of that, of the cutscene on the video I put on YouTube, my little vlog there for it. But yeah, it was awesome. I went up. I pulled one for Milton on this, and I went up and asked for the Super NES Star Wars. Unfortunately, they did not have that one.
Mm.
But I did walk around at one point and seen somebody was playing the original Rogue Squadron on N64. And I literally said to the guy, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Rogue Squadron. And he heard me, he like turned around. I was like, yeah, isn't this awesome? I'm like, yeah. And I had every idea and plan to go back and play Rogue Squadron another day, but I just ran out of time, because I
Mm.
was playing other games
That
like,
that
yeah.
happens at those type of things, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So I was playing other games like Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super NES. We were playing
Love
Yoshi's
that game.
Story for N64. We were playing Tekken 3 on PlayStation. We were playing Twisted Metal on PlayStation. We were playing the original Mortal Kombat on Sega Genesis. It was just a fun time to be had by all. I even played Dance Dance Revolution at one point because they had like this like peripheral area where you can play Guitar Hero. You can like it was just a blast. Anybody that's ever been curious on the East Coast about any kind of gamer, I would definitely say try to make the trip out because it is a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun, like especially just those type of games and stuff like that. So that's really cool that you got to experience those games and whatnot. Especially, it's nice for something like that having those systems and things available. Because if you take the risk of buying one online, who knows if it's like working. So it's nice when you go to a convention like that,
Yep.
it's gonna work.
Oh, and that's a great point because I had issues with a few of the systems, and it's just because how they were made, right? Like I
Yep.
forget, like it's so nice to have an Xbox now. You just hit the button, it works every time. But I remember this, like even on my own systems, like you would try to start like a Super Nintendo game, and nothing would happen on the TV. You're like, what the hell? So you would have to power it off, power it on, and then hit. They would always have a reset button on the consoles, a
Yep.
reset button, you know,
Yep.
and then
Or
it might work.
blow on the cartridge.
Yeah, now they actually had signs that said "Do not blow on the cartridge." Apparently, it damages it or something. But a few times, yeah, we definitely had to do the good old reset, turn off the TV, turn it on to get the thing to work. But it's I think that's like the nostalgia of it all. It's like, yeah, it doesn't ever work on the first shot sometimes.
Yeah, that's
But
how it was.
yeah, so I got my full coverage on that. I have the vlog on this very channel. I also have my blog that I posted about other things about Boston as well as the convention. That's over on starrapter.substack.com for all of that. And yeah, so getting into housekeeping here, we have Skywalker's Academy joining us. Chris Ben, hello there. I'll say hello there back to you as well,
Hello.
Skywalker's Academy. Thanks for joining us. You could always join us every week live, usually at 8 p.m. or usually at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. I know we've been kind of going off kilter when it comes to our scheduling, but hey, that just happens when you're around different holidays and convention season and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yes, so we have that. You can download our podcast on any podcast streaming service. Just don't do it on Google Podcasts because apparently that is being shut down as of next week. But you can find us everywhere else, whether it be Amazon or Spotify or Apple Music. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there you have it. So, yeah, getting into the show proper, as we always do, talking about the new releases in Star Wars, specifically publishing this week. We have quite a bit of stuff just from last week as well. Last week we had Visions #1, we had Thrawn Alliances #3, we had the High Republic issue #5, and my favorite of them all, Jango Fett issue #1 out of 4 miniseries is out now. I reviewed them on the channel on the floor of PAX East. That's right, I was reviewing comics at a video game convention in the middle of a crowded floor, but you gotta love it. Love the energy doing that sort of thing. And literally yesterday we had 2 more comics. That was Obi-Wan 6 out of 6 for that miniseries, and we had the High Republic Adventure one shot Crash Landing out as well. As I mentioned, alluded to, me and Matthew Nuka over on the Star Wars Underworld podcast network there on YouTube. We go ahead and review those comics every single week on a Wednesday, usually at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. So go ahead if you want more of a deep dive analysis on my reviews, you can go over there and check out our coverage over there. So, of course, we had a brand new Star Wars live action trailer drop the week of my convention. So we have not had time to really talk about this thing at all. And we're going to have more of a brief analysis. I know we usually could spend an entire episode on this, but there's so much other things I want to get to. But I want to talk about the highlights, and I will pick up just the various screenshots that I think are interesting. But, you know, getting things started off, we got word on, when was it? The day before the trailer went live, which I guess was Monday, that we were getting a trailer the next day, which was great. Because then we got this amazing poster right here. This awesome poster of this Sith lightsaber with blood streaking down it. Oh my gosh, this thing is so cool. So, what is your first reaction to just the posters? Because there are 2 posters. The other one is just a mysterious figure on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, for me, I thought the posters were like, good, intriguing, kind of set the tone of the show, because it's supposed to be kind of like, this mysterious show with the Sith and whatnot. So it kind of has that vibe. And also, my initial reaction when I saw it before they made the announcement about the trailer was, I was like, now I hope they don't just give us this and then give us a trailer in a month or something. So it was really nice. A couple hours later, they confirmed that there was a trailer coming the next day. So, that was kind of like my initial reaction. And then I kind of like gauge, just looking around, like, just in real life, like what people that I know have seen it around that time on that day. Like, I know I got a text from a couple people like saying, "Oh, hey, that's a pretty cool looking trailer for that Sith show." So just from like ancillary people as well, I was getting good feedback. I felt like just in real life, and not just like not just the internet world we live in.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, for me, what stood out on the poster was a simple idea, especially with the hilt. Is like, oh my gosh, I don't think we've ever seen a Star Wars poster that has blood on it like that. So that immediately gets me to think, oh, this is definitely our mature series, probably more or less on the lines of Andor. It's going to be more obscure, more dark, darker, different things like that. But we also got the release date on these posters as well. What is it, June 3rd or June 4th, something like that?
I
So
think June 4th, I believe.
yeah, which actually ends up being a Tuesday night. So as much as I love Bad Batch, it's like kind of annoying that it's like coming out in the middle of the night still. I don't have a problem with it. I've been having a good time. I've not been as crazy rabid fan level as I was with other shows where I would wake up at like 4 a.m. and be like, oh, I guess I'm gonna watch the show and stay up all day. But I've been getting up at like 6:30 normal time and then just eating my breakfast watching Bad Batch. But we'll get to more with Bad Batch later. But yeah, let's continue looking at the trailer here. As I bring that up, what was your first reaction to the trailer overall?
my first reaction overall to the trailer, and it still kind of stands to this, is like I think the trailer was good, um, but I feel like it was good in like the Disney Plus sense because like it just felt like to me anyways, it felt like a good stock standard Disney Plus trailer. Like, I could like the trailer, like it has some good moments, it has a little bit of hints at some stuff in there, shows some characters, has some action, etc. And it just kind of felt like a little, like a standard Disney Plus trailer, which isn't like a terrible thing to say. It's just like, it's something we've come to know, I feel like at this point with the platform. Like, we're 5 years into Disney Plus now. I don't know. I don't expect them to like change their trailer strategy up anytime soon. And like this trailer like confirmed it. So like for me,
Hmm.
I thought it was just like a good solid trailer. Initial trailer. I would say also that's another thing to keep in mind. Even though they're saying trailer, I mean it's like a minute and a half. It's pretty much a teaser trailer for the most part. Like,
Yeah, and
you
I did
know,
look. It did say official trailer, but you're right. It is definitely more of a teaser than
like
anything else.
like I'd be willing to bet we'll probably get like a 2.5, maybe like a 2:45 trailer when we get closer. But but that was kind of like my initial impression. It was just a good solid trailer.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think you're right. Like, I'm used to going into these Disney Plus trailers knowing that they're not going to change the fandom on its head. Like, you look at the
Mhm.
Mandalorian trailers, you look at the Book of Boba Fett, like, none of those, like, really shock us. I think the best one so far has been the Ahsoka trailers. I think it's more or less there's a lot
Yeah.
of baggage there. Not negative baggage, but just, like, there's a lot of hype because it's based off of a previous, like, property in Star Wars with a lot of those characters. But where this stuff, it's like they try to hide a lot more in these than they've ever done with the movies. Like you see like the Last Jedi trailer, oh, it's time for the Jedi to end. It's like that's so tantalizing. Like what? The Jedi are gonna end? Like or what's this new weapon? This cross-bladed lightsaber? What the hell's going on in this Force Awakens trailer? Like those things really popped. Everybody would be talking. There's not a whole lot like talking points in these trailers. I've noticed. Like talking to people at work, it's like, oh, did you watch the Acolyte trailer? Yeah, it was pretty good. It was fine. There's not like, oh, did you remember that moment when the guy threw the lightsaber through the woods and it's a red lightsaber? It's like, yeah, it's cool and all, but it's like it's not as striking as I think a lot of people would like. But I mean, that's just goes to show you it doesn't. That just because a trailer isn't knock us away doesn't mean the show isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think also like the thing is too when it comes to these trailers, it's just like it's they don't have to go all in with the Disney Plus marketing because like at the end of the day, like realistically, I'm sure they'll get some new subscribers back to the platform and things, I'm sure when the show rolls around. But like it's not like you're trying to push a at 700-800 million dollar movie, for example. Like,
Mm-hmm.
with I'd be willing to bet when we get to the Favreau movie, those trailers are gonna pop again. It's gonna have like the Force Awakens vibe, like where it's gonna have this big crazy moment with Grogu and Mando in it or something. But this, and that requires that though for the marketing and stuff. And for like Disney Plus, you don't really need that. Even we've seen that with other properties on Disney Plus. Like the Marvel trailers are the same way. Like they're just kind of fine. Like, it's like we never get a bad trailer, in my opinion. I don't think we've had a bad trailer from Disney Plus. It's just, fine to good or pretty good, but it's not, like you said, it's not like we don't have a striking moment of like, a solo shot of Kylo Ren igniting his lightsaber in the woods. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a everlasting shot for me from trailers just because it was like, boom, Star Wars is back. So like that's where it's coming from, I think, with that, I would say.
Yeah. So as we're looking through some of these images here, uh, I'm really liking the Jedi Council or whatever, like the Jedi Temple scenes. This is pretty
Mm-hmm.
neat. Um, just the idea that we're getting those iconic sequences of like, oh, there's the cities in the background, there's the large windows, all the sunlight. Like it's just, this is the closest we're gonna get to the prequels. Well, I guess technically the original trilogy is closer because this is 100 years before that. But you know what I mean. Like this is a prequel specific, series here. So this is really cool to see the iconography.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's one thing that stood out to me in the trailer was just the iconography, and then just like Um, I would say just overall look, like you said, the landscapes, but also like the characters, like just the way the characters looked. Especially in my opinion, what's his name, Lee Jung Jae or Lee Jung Jae. His
Hmm.
character I think really stood out to me, just the way like his Jedi was like dressed and looked, etc. Like, um, so I think they definitely have at minimum the visual look down for like this show. Like I think it looks visually, really really well done.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot like just looking at the this one image here, it's all about the kind of the outskirts or wherever this looks like more like maybe the outer rim, right? Like this is a different location uh that is harkening back to like the Force Awakens, like that structure that this figure's walking through. It looks like it's on Unkar Plutt's like kind of whatever that place was called, Nema Outpost. It looks like he's they're
Yep.
walking through Nema Outpost a little bit there. So it's cool that we're getting some of that prequel feel, but also a little bit of sequel stuff sprinkled in.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's good that they're like kind of spreading out how the show's gonna feel. Like that. And like you said, it kind of does have like I mean, this show was shot a lot on location and like live sets and things. So like it has that live, look about it on some of the sequences.
Yes, and what's really nice about Star Wars .com is they put up as soon as they put the trailer, they put up like 8 or 9 data bank entries of all these characters. So I have these pulled up. I'm on the Star Wars.com data bank. This character here is Master Saul. He's explained as a wise and highly respected, powerful Jedi Master, strong in the ways of the Force, who is going through emotional conflict. Very interesting. You know, the Jedi are supposed to be emotionless. They're not supposed to have attachments, feelings, um, you know, to that extent. So that is interesting. I'm very curious to see. As we know, like he's also supposed to be dealing with his prior apprentice, uh, doing some different things, finding him again, and we're gonna get to her in a moment here. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Just reading through some of these descriptions. Now, here's Carrie Ann Moss's character. Yeah, it's just the same actress from The Matrix. Got Matrix representation in Star Wars here. Not sure if there was anybody else involved with Star Wars from The Matrix, but this might be the first person. But pretty cool. I'm down for that. Now, her character is named Indara, and Master Indara is a Jedi Master of great physical and mental skill. So we don't get a whole lot on this character, but we definitely see her fighting against the character of May. And that looks to be the apprentice of Master Saul. And that is Amandla Stenberg's character, who is one of the leads in this whole series. So, uh, yeah, that's one thing that struck me. And we've seen the same, by the way, we've seen the same kind of footage here in the celebration footage. That's one thing that really stood out to me with this series is that it's got a lot of really fast fight choreography, like a lot of hand to hand stuff, especially, which I really dig. There's a lot of diversity in the cast too, so it's really neat seeing everybody kind of bring their A game because a lot of these people are actually doing these stunts themselves.
Yeah. I mean it is. It's cool seeing like the choreography from what we've seen in the trailers. And another thing too, I do like that Star Wars is putting out these database entries like this because before in the past when we've had trailers, like we haven't got like stuff like this where it's like, hey, these are the characters' exact names and things. It's more, like look at like Mandalorian, for example. It was so secretive on like so much stuff.
Hmm.
So it's great like getting the character names, the character breakdowns. And it's so interesting like looking at like the stuff for like Master Soul and then May's stuff, just because like, I've seen folks pull up like screen grabs from like the initial Acolyte stuff from last year compared to like the synopsis of the show this year, and they are very different, like the way they describe the show from StarWars.com. So it's like
Hmm.
it's interesting to see. So I think they might have like, I don't know, maybe like reworked it somehow, or maybe just like figured out a better synopsis because like they made it seem like in the initial post, it was like seeming like the show was going to be more of like a major like Sith-oriented type show, etc., which
Hmm.
we know the show is. But and then when you look at more recent blog posts and things about the show now, it's geared more toward like this like investigation, like from like Master Soul, and like it's like geared from like more his angle on some of the blogs. So it's just interesting comparing how like even Star Wars has like kind of changed the descriptions around a little bit for the show itself. So they must have like found like a better footing or idea of what they want to market the show as. Um, so like that's something to keep in mind with the characters as well. And yeah, I'm just so intrigued just to see what happens with all these characters because like the thing we have learned about all the Disney Plus trailers is the stuff we see from the trailers is usually in the first episode or two. Like it's early on in the series. Like it's normally not very late, if not maybe latest halfway through the season. So I'm really excited just to see where all of these shots land themselves. Like, is this going to be kind of like, you know, I feel like some of these action sequences are going to be probably in the back half of the second episode because we're getting the two-part premiere. So it's
Hmm.
it's going to be an exciting time when we watch it.
Yeah, yeah. There's going to be a lot of like this whole series has been sold to us as like a lot of mystery and intrigue. Um, because we know there's got to be like the dark siders got to be under the radar. They can't really be out in the open. So you're gonna have a lot of subterfuge, a lot of like, ooh, maybe this Jedi gets taken down, and we're trying to figure out why these people are just disappearing. Right? What's going on? So interesting there. I love how this show is putting the aliens in the forefront. Right? We have this one character named Jecki, who is, I forget the species name. Darn it, should have looked this up ahead of time. But she is actually a half human and half of whatever those aliens are from the Return of the Jedi that Boba Fett was flirting with in Jabba's palace. It's like one of those things that
Yeah.
got the little horns on the head. So Jecki is the Padawan apprentice to Master Soul. Well, that's interesting. Although she is young, she projects calm and conducts herself maturity. So Daphne Keene, this the girl that played X-23 in one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, X-23. So it's great seeing her. Can't wait to see. I seen her at Celebration, and she was just over the moon about being part of Star Wars, as anybody could be, right? But it was cool to see her, and I think this was the same in this image here. This is the same actor. I think she was on stage with talking about. They seem to have a good chemistry, good working relationship. These two people. Let me see if I can find his character. Yes, that guy's name is Yord. Yord, a Jedi Knight and guardian from the Jedi Temple, is an overachiever and a rule follower. He needs a by the book. His need is to be a by the book Jedi can cloud his mind. Oh,
Oh,
that's interesting.
I feel like he's gonna get taken out.
Yeah.
Just because it feels like you just saying that description, it feels like I don't know, maybe it's me going on a limb. Maybe he gets like a vergence in the force or something or another, and he's like too confident about it or overconfident about it, and then potentially like that's when Amanda Stenberg's character like maybe takes him out or something.
Yep. I like how he's got the yellow lightsaber. The only time we've seen that in
Yep.
live action is Rise of Skywalker. So it's pretty good stuff here
Hmm.
seeing that. This is a nice shot. This is great because I don't know what the budget of the show is, but this definitely is one of the better looking shots. And it's just the idea of the promise of living in the higher point of the Jedi, right? We're not living in an original trilogy where there's a purge of Jedi. We are seeing one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight Jedi in one shot. Like, when's the last time we can say we've seen that? Yeah, since the prequels. So it's really neat seeing all the Jedi robes, and a lot of the robes are that High Republic esque, like kind of golden robe in the other shots, which is really nice. Now, I don't know if you've seen this running around the internet, but that guy on the right side, it's got the weird kind of bulbous head. People are thinking that's a young Plo Koon.
Oh, I didn't. I guess I didn't know. Man, that would be interesting if that would be.
Because we don't know, at least I don't know in canon what the lifespan of a Keldor is. So,
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. So that's really interesting. That would be crazy if that was potentially him. Um, I mean, hey, you never know because like around this time, like there's chances of some of these characters we know being potentially even just referenced at minimum.
hmm
Um, just because like it is, it is just 100 years before. So like obviously we know the human council members won't be around, but who knows on the other the other people, like the aliens, they could, who knows, maybe live 200 years, like who knows.
yeah, I
So
mean, yeah. Even in the
yeah,
High
so I mean,
Republic, like the books, there's Yariel Poof is around. The one snake dude, that's got like the Santa beard. Forget his
yeah,
name. He was also in Jedi Survivor as a voice log. Obviously Yoda, Yaddle, all those characters. So yeah, I mean that's over 200 years in the past. So yeah. Well, a character that should definitely be able to live into the original trilogy would be a Wookiee named Kel Naka. A Wookiee Jedi is a loner who lives a solitary life. So this guy's going to be a goner, I would imagine. This is actually
yep.
played by Eunice Guantanamo. Chewbacca himself gets to get another role in Star Wars. So that's great to see. That guy's talent. He's got a lot of talent. He's a great ambassador for the Star Wars brand. I met that guy. Speaking of meeting people at conventions, I met him at Fan Expo Philly a couple of years back. So, yeah, really cool seeing him back in Star Wars. I'm sure he's pumped. He was at Celebration in April, and he definitely was excited to play a Wookiee that has a lightsaber.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see his character. Like just to see a Wookiee with a lightsaber on screen in live action is gonna be so cool. Just to like to witness that, and I can't wait. Like I think that's gonna be a really cool sequence. Like you said, it kind of makes me antsy with him being by himself. That really makes it feel like he's gonna get
Mm.
taken out. Unfortunately, just because it like I feel like he's gonna be a character our main characters find and he's not alive. But I think the good thing is, with that being said, is at least whatever sequences he's involved in, like I'm sure with him being like in like a foresty area, etc., like I'm sure it'll probably look really cool visually with whoever he fights though, And just to see how a Wookiee fights with like a lightsaber
Yeah.
potentially, like that is gonna be wild because the thing is, a Wookiee has I mean presumably since he's a Jedi, like he'd be strong in the Force, but also I mean Wookiees are just strong physically, so like they could like overpower just pushing a lightsaber back potentially with while they're fighting and grappling. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he could potentially get taken out even really. Um
Yeah, I would imagine like maybe he's got a bigger lightsaber, right? I'm sure he's got a very large
mm,
hilt because they have large hands. Maybe the blade is a little longer. If you guys have played Jedi
mm,
Survivor, right, you got that one broadsword saber like Kylo Ren has, and like Cal has to swing that thing a little slower because it's larger, and so I would imagine like he's got a completely different fighting form maybe with that saber. So I'm very curious to see what that looks like.
oh yeah, I mean there's a chance. I mean who knows, maybe if we have something exciting happen at the end of the second episode, maybe we get like an epic fight with him and like Amanda Stenberg or something.
Yeah, yeah. This next image here, I just wanted to put this in there. Soul, Master Soul, seems like he might be using a Jedi mind trick on a character, I guess, in his investigation. So again, we've seen Obi-Wan use it. You would think that, using a mind trick is maybe not the most Jedi way of things because you're manipulating somebody's mind without them really having permission or whatever. But they call it a Jedi mind trick. So the Jedis have been using it for a reason. But I thought that was interesting. More DNA, obviously, of Star Wars. Continuing that whole trend of, we want to connect back to the movies, of course.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's cool seeing that. Like it's cool. Just that was one of the things that stood out to me in this trailer as well. It was like, oh man, it looks like he's potentially using the Jedi mind trick there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that was one of the interesting things that pointed out to me. And then whenever I'm not sure if we had mentioned it or if we had seen the shot yet where the girl talks about the fire.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so like that's an interesting one because her like so when she talks about the fire, like seeing the fire, like a vision of the fire, it's so interesting because like potentially is that like a young character like maybe connected to Amanda's? Maybe what if I've seen a lot of people theorizing this like online, so I can't take credit for it at all. But like, what if that's like, because Star Wars is always so big on like siblings or people related or things like that. Like, what if this is like someone who's like a sister or someone related to Amanda Stenberg's character, and like,
Mm.
you have the good side, you know, mirrored with the bad side in May. So I've seen that kind of thrown around. I've seen, I mean, even me, like maybe we just get like a thing where it's like, she's talking and says, um, talks about that, and maybe like they don't even continue on with that story beat, and maybe that's just like a little hint and nod toward the prequels. Like maybe she's talking about like fire because like she's seeing the eventual fall of the Jedi, like because maybe
Mm.
maybe it's like maybe it's something along the lines of like, because we see the stuff in Phantom Menace and like Anakin's getting visions and all these things, and Obi-Wan's talking about like the future with Qui-Gon and all these things, and whenever Jedi talk about the future, they kind of get like pushed aside, like, hey, just focus on now, don't focus on like
Mhm.
that, and like maybe she gets kind of like waffled away where it's like, oh no, don't worry about that vision of fire, and maybe it's not really directly referenced to anything in the show. Maybe that is like a connection to the prequels, like just the overall fall of the Jedi.
Yeah, I'm looking at Jedi Skywalker Academy. Thank you for correcting me. She's definitely Jackie Lan is a
Hmm.
Thelan species. I couldn't get that one. It's not in my vocabulary of Star Wars quite yet. I was thinking about Miri Allen, but that's a whole nother character. That's Luminara and Barasafi. But Skywalker's Academy is thinking, oh, maybe she means Mustafar. Maybe she's thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, Mustafar, the trial of the Sith of rising with Vader and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
it's
yeah.
highly possible. Leslie Headland's talked about like, looking at the prequels and stuff. So who knows? Maybe we do get like just little Easter eggs like that, even.
Yeah. So what about this location? I instantly thought like, oh, is this Naboo? Is this Theed? I guess probably not, but it just reminded me like there's like kind of a peninsula with a castle palace on the end of it. So it'll be nice to get new locations nonetheless.
Oh yeah, I know. I got Naboo vibes from it as well, but like you said, it's probably a new location for this show just because all these shows introduce so many. How many times have we said, "Man, is this filmed the Blake planet?" And then it's just new planet. So
Yeah.
it's probably a new planet, but I'm not gonna lie. I would be happily surprised if it was Naboo.
Mm. Mm-hmm. You got this nice shot here of May with the mask on, and we see her fighting in multiple places, fighting in Master Andara, now fighting Master Soul, and apparently she's was a prior Padawan of Soul, but she like left the Jedi Order or something. I definitely don't think she's linked to the Sith. I think she's her own character. Whoever's got the red lightsaber later in the trailer is their own a different character. But yeah, again, really cool martial arts with these action choreography. I really dig it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's there's a lot of good interesting shots in here at least to like that will make you intrigued about the show, and this is one of them.
Yep. What makes me really intrigued is our first High Republic character, boom, in live action. That is Vernestra Rowe. I could spend a whole lot of time talking about this character, but it's really cool seeing somebody come from the books and get placed into live action. Everything's connected. It's all one canon, all one connected universe. But yeah, she should be like what is it? She's gonna be like well over 100 years, probably 130 years old at this point. That would be my math on it. And speaking of Miri Allens, she is a Miri Allen. You know, same as Luminar and yeah. So it's cool to see her. Uh, I didn't even notice her. Like it's literally a blink and you miss it moment in a trailer. I'm like they could have hovered on here for just a little bit longer, but at least she's in there.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't notice her at first either. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't looking for her, but I didn't notice her because, like you said, it was so quick. I had to go back and rewatch the trailer when people were talking about it, And I was like, where was it at? And I had to look up the timestamp just to make sure, because I was like, it was so quick. Um, but yeah, it's cool. Like, even though I'm not really into the High Republic, it's cool just seeing, uh, seeing payoff happen for books and stuff. Because like, for a long time there under Disney, it was like, are they ever gonna like start bringing things in from the
Yep.
books and even the shows like look, our only thing we got really from a payoff in terms of non-movies was Chopper floating by real quick in Rogue One, and that was about it. Like, other than that, like, for a long time they were like, nah, let's just keep, let's, have the movies kind of on a pedestal and keep them totally separate and stuff. So it's great just seeing like how quickly characters from the High Republic has made it into live action versus like, the initial start of Star Wars, back in like 2014 or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So here we go. Remember they at Celebration they brought on Leslie Headland during the High Republic panel as like the 10th or 11th author of that whole initiative. So obviously she's really in close with the lore they're building there. Because the High Republic it's still going to be going on after Acolyte season one. I think we all agree this is going to get multiple seasons. They're not going to do all these elaborate sets for just 8 episodes. So they're really gonna they're banking this is going to be successful. Which, if you look at the trailers, I mean, heck, this is the most successful Star Wars trailer in whatever amount of time that they've ever put out for the Disney Plus series. So if that's any indication, this is probably going to do pretty well for Disney Plus, and if they do well, they just keep making more series, as we see with The Mandalorian, how that has been doing. So,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this show has definitely has potential to get more seasons because of that, because of just in general. Like, don't get me wrong, everyone knows I'm not like the biggest Andor fan, but this show's way easier to market to like Chris's mom than Andor, just for the fact that there's Jedi and Sith in it. Like that's so much easier to market to people. So I think that alone is going to help build in a general audience, where they'll be like, oh, there's like a Jedi or Sith show coming out, blah blah blah. Like, I mean, for example, I have an uncle. He
mm-hmm.
doesn't follow. He all his only conscious of Star Wars is watching it when it's on, like when something new, and then he forgets about it until the next thing comes on.
Yeah.
And when this trailer came out, he sent me the trailer and was like, "Whoa, did you see this new show with?" He said it looks like there's new Jedi and new Sith in this show
Yeah.
coming out here. And I said, yeah, I said we heard about this show a few years ago, but yeah, I said, yeah, this show, it's coming out here in June, blah blah blah. But see, like he is so general audience. Like, he's
Yep.
one of my best testers, just because it's like I said, he forgets about Star Wars until the next thing comes out. So like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's interested in watching the show because Jedi and Sith, it's a really easy entry point for people like that to get into it.
Yeah, it certainly is. Certainly is. Now, I think this character has a name. Well, I know he has a name. I don't know if I know it yet, but he is definitely a smuggler character. So it's cool. We're getting all the archetypes, right? We're getting obviously a lot of Jedi, Sith, and then this character. So very curious. It's always nice having a scoundrel, a smuggler, if you will, an underworld kind of dude in Star Wars. It's part of its DNA. So looking forward to seeing more about this character, of course.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's definitely or yeah, like you said with this character, it's just kind of has that Star Wars like DNA
Mm-hmm.
type to it, really.
Mm-hmm. Another grand shot of a bunch of Jedi with their golden High Republic robes. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to more of those shots. There's a Jedi in mass. This is the one that threw me for a loop. So this character is named Mother Anicia, and they are explained as Mother Anicia is the leader of a coven of witches who value their independence and the preservation of their beliefs and powers. Now, when I think of High Republic and Mother, I think of the Mother, who is the proto leader of, or the leader of the proto Nile at one point. So I don't know if she has any connection to the path of the open hand, which eventually becomes the path of the closed fist, which eventually becomes the Nile. But that would be really cool if she ended up having like a connection to the Nile and giving the viewers and the people of the mainstream like an entryway into like, hey, these are a whole nother faction that aren't Jedi, they're not Sith, but they are these marauders, and maybe that's her connection. So it's cool. I don't know if it will be, but I hope it'd be nice if it was.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting to see if so. And like you said, it's kind of like it's like another entry point for people who have not read the books and stuff to be like, oh, let me go look into this or something. And then they look into it and find all these books. And then it's like, oh, let me check all this stuff out. So it's great having that kind of like entry point.
Yeah. And the last shot here, as I alluded to, just a red saber. All we get to see is like the hand of the person holding it. So there's really nothing. Oh, and I guess that does rule it out because somebody in my YouTube comments said something about, oh, maybe this is Vernestra Rowe. But I'm pretty
Mm,
sure it was a human hand holding it, not a green hand. But that would be
yeah.
cool. But my first thought was, oh my gosh, we're getting Plagueis or somebody. We're getting a red lightsaber. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a new Sith, which is just exciting in its own right. Like, yeah,
Mm,
we've seen red lightsabers in the sequel trilogy, but they were not Sith. They were just dark side users with Kylo Ren and Snoke. But to actually see like some mysterious Sith, right? This is what gets me really excited. And this was the one shot that really sold me on it. Was like, yeah, this is kind of an okay trailer, but then it wowed me at the end. So, and then you see the power of whatever this user is doing, like just crushing like all these Jedi instantly, like just like an earthquake force wave thing. Like, damn, this guy's powerful, or girl, whoever it is.
yep. Oh yeah, for sure. That's definitely like the shot of the trailer, like you said, to kind of like send it home. Um, so like like you said, it opened up a discussion point of like who is this person? Like, is it any of the characters we've seen, or is it any of the other like characters we potentially have heard of before? Like I went down like the rabbit hole, like briefly researching different things and like whatnot. Like of course in current canon we don't really have much on Plagueis really, like concrete, but they've taken a lot of inspiration from legends, one way or another, the way they've done things, like the way they've translated stuff. So like presumably if they would bring Plagueis into this show, the only thing about him is he would maybe be like 15 years old around this time potentially. So like that's the only tricky part, 15 to 20. So, but the thing is, in like current canon, we know for sure Pla- Plagueis's master, like Darth Tenebris, has been referenced because like I was doing the research on it and like from like it was the Millennium Falcon comic in like 2015 or 16. There was like a reference to Darth Tenebris in there, and then also there was a reference to Darth Tenebris in the Rise of Skywalker like visual dictionary or whatever. So there's references to his master. So the thing is, if it's not Plagueis, maybe we get Plagueis's master in this show, like maybe
Hmm.
by the end of it showing up. Because the thing is, that would be kind of like a
Hmm.
totally new character versus like all of us hardcore fans just waiting, where's Plagueis, where's Plagueis, where's Plagueis? And then, if they would pull out Darth Tenebris, because like I said, in canon, he's been referenced, so like he potentially is around right
Wait,
now.
really? He's been referenced, Tenebris?
Well, yeah. Well, when I was doing research, like I said, he was referenced in I'm not sure exactly how, but referenced in a Millennium Falcon comic in like 2015 or 16, and then
Oh,
referenced in like the
looking it up.
Darth Tenebris fleet in the Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary, I believe is what it was. So
They also mentioned
so the
Revan in that as well. Yeah.
yeah so the thing is like there's some like pointers to that. So it's like if Plagueis is too young potentially, Darth Tenebris would definitely be eligible just because he would probably be however old to be a master. Like so
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a chance for that potentially, which that would be like a good curveball, I think, to throw the fandom where it's like people are expecting Plagueis, and then it's like, no, wait, his master is actually here.
That's so funny. Star Wars Build the Millennium Falcon 44.
Yep, that was the one.
Starship Fact File, Sith Infiltrator, Scimitar. So that's Darth Maul's ship. He was referenced in the Sith ship somehow. But yeah, the Rise of Skywalker Visual Dictionary, they named a whole bunch of Sith. So yeah, technically anything produced in this era after 2014 is canon. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, they could either do that route and like potentially give us Tenebris at some point in this show, or they could just say, hey, Darth Plagueis knew how to cheat death and stuff, so he can live longer. So maybe they just extend his life.
Yeah.
If we get him.
But no, that does it for our coverage of Acolyte. I think we spent a lot longer than I intended to on that. So buckle up, guys, because it's going to be a longer show than I think we realized. But no, it's good. It's good to talk about new Star Wars. I wanted to talk about especially the Acolyte. There's a lot going on with this one. What gets me really excited is just the fact that there's a lot of Jedi. There's a lot of Jedi, all new characters. When's the last time that we've gotten Star Wars where it's like a whole clean slate of nothing but new characters and
Nope.
new locations and a new look to it too. It's not like in the same original trilogy era. You get High Republic stuff now. So I'm just really jazzed. Just this is the promise that Lucasfilm gave the community, gave the audience, saying, hey, we're eventually going to branch out from the Skywalker saga. This is our literal first thing in live action that is doing that. They're holding to their promise, and I just really hope it lands. That's all.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think this was a good way to do it. Especially because it's a good way to do it, but also you have built-in safety nets as well. Because, for example, I think, if you would have started this, like, say, and done like 30,000 years ago or something, I think that's just way more risky just because, you're totally in the unknown.
Yes.
But right now, being 100 years before Phantom Menace, you have the High Republic stuff to, like, connect to a bit. And then you also have the fallback of, like, hey, we can reference, like, you can have Lee Jung Jai's character, or Master Soul saying, like, oh, Master Yoda at the temple, blah, blah, blah. You can do references that are kind of like safety nets as well, while also branching out. So I think it's a good blend and a good step, really, in the right direction for, just with them wanting to, like, take that test and, like, step outside 1 through 9.
Yeah. Yeah. So a big thing I didn't see coming. Well, we know it's coming, but I was like, oh, we got a cool poster for Star Wars Celebration Japan, everybody. Star Wars Celebration Japan. We got a kick-ass poster that's, harkens to the culture of Japan. You got the nice old rising sun there, and you got Vader in the background. Oh, this is such cool stuff here. There we go. I just pulled it up. There we go. Yeah, what'd you think about that? I love how you have Mount Fuji and the red sun. You got the AT-ATs, you got the X-Wings, Vader. It's just a very cool Visions-esque kind of poster for Celebration.
Oh yeah, I thought the poster looked really, really good. Especially because, like, I don't know, it just really brings a good Star Wars vibe about it. Like, it looks like, when you look at something like that, it looks like a Star Wars poster. Like, it kind of looks vintage, in my opinion. Or vintage, or like retro, I guess I would say. It looks kind of like retro. I could imagine this being a poster, like, obviously if you take the year off and stuff, or us knowing the year, but, like, if they would show us this picture, like, I could imagine this, like, being something promotional material back in, like, the 70s and 80s for Star Wars. So, like, it has kind of that vintage look and feel to it. So I like that. And yeah, I think it's just a good Star Wars poster, and, like, it has that, just Star Wars vibe. Like that's the thing. Like, we need things to feel like Star Wars, and I think that poster does.
Yeah, and what's really good about the Celebration key art is the ones I've seen, they've been, especially with London, they do a good job of integrating the culture, the buildings and stuff in the design. It was like the whole, the Big Ben and a couple other big, the tower and stuff like that in the London one as well with the X-Wings and TIE fighters and whatever. So that's really cool. But yeah, for those of you that aren't aware, this is happening next year, 2025, April 18th through the 20th, which is kind of interesting because that's like the shortest celebration ever. Usually, even Chicago was like a full 5 days. Last couple have been 4 days. So we're going down to 3 days. I don't know. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna be going all the way to maybe going all the way to Japan for just 3 days of celebration. Gets me worried. Like, oh, does that mean they're just scaling back on the content? Um, I don't want to sound doom and gloom, but that's kind of like, oh, why is it only 3 days? So that's kind of weird for
Well,
me.
the only thing is next year, what do we have coming next year? Just Andor?
Oh, well, no, Andor will be over by then now.
Oh yeah, Andor. Oh yeah, Andor would be over by then. Yeah.
Guess
So
there's really
like,
not much to talk about, I guess, in a
no,
way.
unless they, unless next year is just a big push on, even at that, would they? I don't. I mean, you do a big push talking about like the Favreau stuff, but I don't know. Maybe. So like, unless they, maybe by then, we'll have Ahsoka news, like, more concrete stuff on like
True.
shooting for that and things like. So, we might get like a teaser maybe for that, a something related to the other projects, and hopefully, what I would say, it like I could see potentially, one of the key features of this being maybe they're doing some sort of Acolyte season 2 thing, just because like the Acolyte has like it's like the Jedi, Sith, like samurai vibes, like all these
Hmm.
things. So like going over to that area, it's like maybe the Acolyte season 2 has a big presence there potentially. Um, and then ideally, in my opinion, what would be on my bucket list is like maybe like give us another animated show or give us more projects down the pipeline, because like right now we know everything that's coming basically,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. So like give us a project we're not expecting, throw us a curveball, throw us a live action, hey, this movie's coming out, or hey, this live action show is getting developed, like I don't even know what. Because the thing is, a lot of people haven't thought about this, but like once the Mandoverse enters the theatrical realm, I think it's done on Disney Plus. Personally, like I think you
Mm.
can't go back from movie theaters to streamer. I don't know.
That's a good
So like
point.
I think maybe, who knows, maybe we get like the next show that's going to be alongside Acolyte season 2. Like we get Acolyte season 2, and then
Hmm.
maybe it's going to be like I don't even know what you'd even say, like a I mean, look, The Mandalorian was a total surprise. So like, who knows? Like maybe we get another like an Andor esque, like a non Jedi show, like a smuggler show or
Mm.
something, or something
Yeah.
like that. Because they have to be working on some sort of live action show in the pipeline that's going to be after the Mandoverse, or like taking place as it's like playing out.
True. True. I'm also thinking of publishing, but the High Republic are going to be wrapping up around that point completely. So maybe they do like the first teaser of what comes next. Is it going to be Old
Mm.
Republic? Is it going to be post Return of the Jedi, post Rise of Skywalker? I think that they have to start talking about what comes next
I mean,
after that.
maybe even potentially, I think the biggest sleeper show, like of course this year we have the Acolyte, but I think the Acolyte is probably going to be a pretty easy layup just because of what's involved with it. But I think the biggest sleeper show for everybody is Skeleton Crew. So
Oh yeah.
like if Skeleton Crew, what if it comes out? Like we don't know. Like I mean, I don't know anything about the show from the people I've talked to. It was like a really tight set from the sounds of it. So you know, what if Skeleton Crew comes out and is the next Mandalorian phenomenon, and they're like, well, crap, what do we do now that this show is like the next big thing? So, there's a lot of kids involved in it and whatnot. So it's kind of like we keep saying Stranger Things, but like Stranger Things took off. So like, who knows? Maybe like if this takes off for Star Wars, maybe we get like a second season of Skeleton Crew shown, or I mean, or announced there next year. Like, I think that's a possibility as well. Because I think like with Skeleton Crew this year, I really believe people are overlooking that show, like just overlooking it, and I think it has a chance maybe to surprise people.
Mm, yeah. So, the big buzz about this, obviously, for any celebration, we do now have the dates and the time for when you can buy tickets. Remember, these things sell out like so quick, like in like a couple hours. So they're going to be going on sale in the United States at least. That'll be on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So then you can do all your math to figure out in your specific time zone. That's going to be 4 p.m. PST. It's going to be Friday for people in Japan at 8 a.m. JST. So there you go. We'll see if I get lucky enough again to get tickets. I want to go. It's going to be a big commitment. So, yeah, planning on going. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, make a
And
vacation out of it.
well, definitely, yeah. You got to spend like 10 days if you go all the way there. That's the whole other side of the world, and it's a lot to travel to just go there. Let's see. There's so much news, so much news. This is something that irked me quite a bit. So apparently, without any warning, they just happened to be a random Star Wars light show on the Empire State Building last week. And it was
Yeah.
like the week that I was literally in New York visiting my girlfriend. It's like I would have liked to known. I would have been there and watched the darn thing, but nobody likes to tell anybody. Like that's the same thing that happened when Hayden Christensen went to the Empire State Building like 2 years ago. He made it all turn red. It's like make an event out of it, Lucasfilm. Like let the people know so that we can actually like get close to the building and like camp out and watch the thing because I thought it was just AI, but apparently it was like they literally have the technology ILM developed to like have that gigantic projector to do this, and it looked really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was looking at like videos and pictures of it. It like see stuff like that's cool, but like you said, instead of making it a surprise, like just announce it. Like announce it the day before, just so you know
Yeah.
you don't flood out the area or whatever. But like just announce it the day before, last minute, first come first serve. Whoever shows up who wants to be close to see it can. And like it would have been cool, especially because like when I saw that, honestly, the first thing I thought of was you. I was like, oh man, Chris could go and see that.
Yep.
Um, and I was just like, well, and you hadn't messaged in our group chat like that you were there, so I was like, well, I guess he couldn't go and see it. Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, it's cool seeing them do stuff like that. I hope they start to do more of those things, like just in cities around the world.
Hmm.
But like you said, announce it just so fans can go and enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and apparently they have like a whole floor dedicated to like Star Wars because what this is all, and this goes into our next story. There's this whole thing about the Imperial March, which is like a big initiative. Lucasfilm does these initiatives from time to time, the bounty weeks and all that kind of thing. It just drum up more hype around their merchandise and all. So apparently they have like the 84th floor or something like that, which is just like decked out in the new Legos. Even the Star Wars card game I play, they have a nice display of Star Wars Unlimited up there. A whole bunch of cool stuff. So I don't know how long it'll be there. Maybe I will go there to check it out. But yeah, looking more at this is more of a story for you, Ben, because looking at the Imperial March merchandise, there's what is it, a 4-pack with these Legends characters in it?
Yep. So I'm still waffling on whether I'm going to order it or not. I'm probably gonna.
You probably should,
But
yeah.
yeah, just because it's like it's classic Legends. So what it is it's a 4-pack of Black Series figures, and it's a special pack for the Last Command, which is the third book in the original Zahn trilogy, and it's amazing just because it comes with obviously Luke from that book. It comes with Jeruis Sabaoth, which is like the mad clone Jedi
Mm-hmm.
that Thrawn teams up with. It comes with the Luke clone, Luke, and then it comes with Mara Jade as well. So it's like you have your four, some of your biggest classic Star Wars Legends characters, especially with Luke, Sabaoth, and Mara. So the fact that they're making this for this book, and it's not just like it literally says Last Command on it. So it's cool. Yeah, it's cool just seeing because like I saw the one picture of it. It says The Last Command right on the top of it. So like to me, like that instantly sparked an idea in general, Chris, of like, of course, like I'm freaking out about this because it's like some of my right up my alleyway when I just listened to Last Command, a few months back. But also, these are some of my favorite characters. Like Mara and Luke are some of my favorite Star Wars characters ever. And then on top of it, it just sparks an idea of like, are we going to get more book collections? Like,
Yeah.
like for you, for example, are we going to get a 4-pack of insert High Republic characters?
Seriously.
Like, but because from whatever book, like, what's the opening book? Light of the
Light of the
Jedi,
Jedi. Yeah, give me
yeah,
a
like,
loading Greatstorm and a Stellan Geos or something.
yeah, like we could do that. The funny thing is in one of the Discord chats I'm in, I saw someone commented and was like, "Man, I already have Luke and Mara. That's $50 right there. But I gotta buy this pack to get Sabayoth and the clone Luke now."
Yeah.
um,
Did they show what
but
the
it's
clone Luke looked like? Because I seen him with like the hood up and I couldn't see his face. I wonder if he
it's the
like looks
hood.
different.
I haven't seen the face yet either. I'm so interested to see because I've only seen the side angle where it's
Yep.
just the hood. But I'm really interested to see what it looks like.
But
And
yes, I applaud Hasbro for not making. I'm sure they will, but just not showing off another like 50th Vader. Oh wait, they
mm,
already have. I'm looking at the darn page now. And I'm scrolling down, and yes, sure enough, there's another freaking Darth Vader toy you can
goodness.
get. But they also have a Balin Skull Black Series, which looks really nice. Now I think there's already one out now. They have a double pack, which looks really cool, of the clone trooper and the battle droid from Phantom Menace.
Yep.
You know, there's just a lot of good stuff. I feel like with this one specifically, there's a lot of good stuff this time. I gotta find this. They're actually gonna sell blue milk by True Moo.
Mm,
The
I
actual
saw
blue
that.
milk you can buy in a supermarket. I am gonna buy the heck out of this.
Oh,
Oh
I know.
man.
That's really awesome. And then like also another thing too on that 4-pack though from the Last Command, it's just so cool seeing them pull out stuff that like the hardcore fans love Star Wars Legends for the most part. Like so it's just cool seeing them, you know, like, hey, we'll give you guys what you want. So it's just cool seeing that like get addressed. And
Yes.
it makes me wonder too. It's like, man, I would love to get a Black Series like 4-pack with like, I mean, of course, Luke would be involved with it just because he's involved in like so many Legends things. But like, give me a 4-pack involved with like, I want to see what a couple Yuuzhan Vong aliens look like with black, made by Black Series because like the Black Series interpretations of all the characters, it's all spot
Yeah.
on. Like,
Hmm.
Luke looks great. Mara looks just like Shannon McRandall. Like all these people look perfect. So it just makes me think about the other possibilities for the Legends characters as well, like classic things like the Vong or like just any of these things. I mean, give us even a classic, give us a Death Troopers thing from like the Death Troopers book, like
Mm.
anything like that. Like I don't know, it just opens up the possibility for them to show us more potential, like some cool legends characters and things. And that kind of goes alongside with them releasing like the Thrawn books in like the Legends Essentials and stuff as well.
Yes, I looked it up now. There is a 3-pack Black Series Dark Side pack. These are all repacks, meaning that they're already been released, but they're just in a package now. You get Darth Vader. You get the Clone Wars looking like Grievous. It's like all white, and
Yep.
you get the Grand Admiral Triss himself. You get good old Thrawn, and this is the Thrawn that came with the San Diego exclusive pack that has like the Ysalamiri on his shoulders.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. So there's another legend one for you folks out there. Oh, something I'm really jazzed about is the jazz wares thing. I know it's a bad pun. Uh,
Mhm.
the jazz wares is just these guys knock it out of the park. Like they've done such a great job with making those nice little miniature spaceships and stuff. They're doing an episode one whole wave, and we're gonna get the Bonga sub, which looks so nice, and it comes with a stand. Like I love how the colors pop on this thing. Comes with, it looks like Qui-Gon and Jar Jar Binks, and then they're also gonna have a Naboo starfighter with a young Anakin.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
and
Like
I'm
those,
yeah.
well, those are some of the best like iconic ships from that movie, I think. I think those are the two best
Mm-hmm.
ones. I would say next those I think yeah, like especially the Naboo Starfighter. I've always loved that one. Like just the look of it. I've had a Lego version of it. I've had a like an actual like a toy version when I was a kid of it. That's been always one of my favorite just Starfighter classes in Star Wars.
Yeah. Going back to the Black Series, you talked about High Republic characters. Well, technically, we're gonna have them because they actually are already on top of it. Thank goodness. Thank goodness Hasbro finally gets their crap together. I hate to say it, but like they're actually gonna have Acolyte figures out. They showed
Oh,
off
nice.
May. Yeah, they have like four of them, but Master Soul, Master Indara, and May. So it's sick because I remember like I think it was for Obi-Wan or maybe another series, like they didn't get those figures out until 6 months after the show was out already, or some crazy thing. It's like, how far back were you guys giving this stuff? Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, I
she
mean
looks
think
good.
well think some of those like some of the leaks we've gotten over the years have came from the toys because they leak from these companies.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But there's also, oh, this one really gets me excited too because we have a 3-pack Gaming Greats, which is usually from GameStop. I think you buy these at. Oh no, this is an Amazon exclusive. Interesting. Um, Jedi Fallen Order 3-pack for Darkseid. You get a Darkseid Cal Kestis with the red lightsaber and the black armor. And you also get a Purge Trooper with an Electro Hammer, which I don't think was ever released. And you get the Third Sister, which I have two of already. But just for the fact that you get the different looking Cal Kestis as the Dark Side Inquisitor Cal Kestis, so freaking cool.
Oh yeah, it's cool seeing them like highlight all those characters just because like you said they've released so many different Vader variants. Now
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they've probably hit every different Vader that we can think of now. Um, but it's just Darth Vader sells.
Yep. Yep. And finally, over an hour later, we're finally on our last news story. The Phantom Menace got an update, so you can now go ahead and reserve your seats, reserve your tickets. You can do that for the May the 4th viewing. Oh, wait, it's returning on May the 3rd.
Yep.
Ah, okay. Well, I'll probably still see it on May the 4th. But their poster has been updated, just like I was expecting, with an exclusive look at the upcoming Disney Plus Star Wars series, The Acolyte. What a good move for marketing, because you're gonna get these people's butts in seats, but you're gonna get even more people that want to go just to see this clip, and I think it's gonna be shown after. Um, so you're gonna sit through the whole movie, which why wouldn't you? It's the Phantom Menace. It's Star Wars. You're gonna want to watch it anyway, obviously. But yeah, it's cool that we're gonna get this. I'm thinking it's gonna be kind of like what they did with the Rogue One Andor thing, where they showed you like that full extended clip. I think it
Yep.
was. Um, this is perfect because it's gonna be like, hey, do you like the look of these characters or this area in Star Wars, the prequels? You like the prequels? Guess what? We're gonna actually have a series that takes place 100 years before this, so it's like very easy for people to understand and comprehend that. Oh, there's a new Star Wars series that's gonna be coming out, and it's actually a prequel to this movie. So
Yeah, and an interesting thing about this release actually, looking it up, so it's May the 3rd, but you know how it usually is with these movie announcements. It's like, they say May the 3rd, but it's really May the 2nd. Well, May the 3rd is actually a Friday, so like there's a good chance we could have this movie showing that Thursday night,
yeah,
potentially May the 2nd at 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock. And if so, I mean, I am 100% going to go to the Thursday night showing just because it brings back those old movie
yep.
premiere vibes. Like, hey, we're going opening night, gotta go see it, like that sort of thing. Um, I'm super excited for that potential. I know already. A fun little insider fact. For people who may not have connections to theaters, but I have a relative that works in one, and they already got a poster for the Phantom Menace. That my cousin sent me a Snapchat
Oh,
the other day, and she sent it to me and was like, "Hey," she was like, she's 19 years old and doesn't know a thing about Star Wars,
ha.
and she sent me a Snapchat and said, "Hey, we got this poster and." She said, "Have you seen this one before?" She said, "It looks like there's a new Star Wars coming out." I said, "Well, it's re-releasing." but it's funny just hearing that. So like, movie theaters have started to get like some of the the posters already.
I'm wondering how long this is gonna last in the theater because with Rogue One, I couldn't even see it. With Return of the Jedi, I couldn't even see it. It was literally in there for a week. I just feel
Mm,
like I'm getting the vibe that they're gonna pay money, Lucasfilm, to like maybe hold this in theaters a little longer. This seems like they're putting a lot more work into marketing this. Because then the next story I was gonna say is they're doing a damn marathon again, but except this time
mm.
they're gonna have all 9 movies.
Yeah, well, they got to
And
have the whole Skywalker
the
saga.
whole Skywalker saga, I waited through, or not waited, I made it sound like it's a punishment, but I've watched all the movies in the lead up to the Force Awakens. I'll never forget that because I was driving on the road at like 1 o'clock in the morning to catch the Phantom Menace at like 1:45. I was just like hyped beyond belief. I was like, I should be tired right now, but I'm so hyped because at the end of all this, I get to watch the first new Star Wars movie in like 10 plus years. This is going to be amazing. So, like,
Yeah,
I can imagine that's, yeah.
yeah,
It was fun, but I don't think I'll ever do that again, especially not with 2 additional movies to watch.
yeah. No, me and I didn't go. I didn't have one of those type of screenings nearby. Unfortunately, the closest one was like 2.5 hours away. But me and my cousin did our own version of that, and we literally
Oh.
started. We started around the same time everyone else was starting, about 1 or 2 in the morning, because we calculated, we worked it back from 7 p.m. premiere time. We worked it all the way back, worked back the numbers to it. So we did that, and like we started at like 2 o'clock in the morning through 1, 2, 3 in the morning, whatever, and we watched from then until like 6 o'clock that night before we went to the movie theater. So we had our own like pseudo Star Wars marathon, waking up in the middle of the night, and we literally stayed up for like 20 hours. But
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's
it's
hardcore.
yeah, it's always a good time though, being a Star Wars fan. Like that sort of stuff, it's nice, like getting excited for Star Wars like that though.
Yeah. And I did see a picture floating around. They have the special popcorn bucket and the soda cup and all that sort of thing. So it's like, oh, I might need to get those for my collection. I'm gonna have to make room
Mm.
to have those displayed prominently in my room here.
Yeah, it's awesome seeing it get re-released. I mean, heck, we have that, and then here in a couple of years, like I'm sure they'll do something for like Attack of the Clones and then Sith maybe.
Yeah, I don't.
So
I get the feeling that we're not gonna get as big a thing for Attack of the Clones, just because like I feel like this is more or less like a celebration for the prequels in general, kind of like it
yeah,
seems
oh yeah,
like.
that's true.
So we'll see, and it's not. I feel like Attack of the Clones is not as well regarded as the Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
maybe. So I don't know if they're gonna make that much money from that one.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. They
But
might skip that and just go to Revenge of the Sith.
oh man, so here we go. We got 2 episodes of Star Wars to review. So we got 2 episodes. We're gonna review these each independently because they are so different from one another. They're not meant to be watched back to back because they're not part one and part two like the previous time we talked about the episodes. But yeah, getting into it. First one we're going to talk about Bad Batch, Season 3, Episode 8, Bad Territory. I'll kick things off with this one. This was my least favorite episode of the season. I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff that happened in this episode, but it didn't move the needle enough for me. I liked a lot. I really liked the Bayou approach. I feel like we haven't really seen that since the Clone Wars with like the Clone Wars with the now Hutta episodes. That kind of was like the only time we've seen like a swamp like that. But we get Fennec Shan back. We get all these like there's a Haxian Brood reference and different things like that. I think that alien looked really cool. The sound effects, the sound design, the target, this unique character just made up. Like this guy's never been anything else before. But yeah, it just felt like the story was just like it didn't really go anywhere. And you had Omega just sitting around. I do like how she was meditating that she learned from Kashyyyk and she was talking to Crosshair like, "Oh yeah, you weren't there," kind of thing. So that I did appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. This was I think the episode, don't get me wrong, it wasn't trash or anything. As Milton would say, it wasn't trash. It was It was all right. It was okay. Like we got some cool stuff in it. Like you said, we had Fennec Shand. It's cool getting to see her. They really have a good look for her character in animation. I think.
Mm.
I think she's one of the better like other way like live action going to animation translations. I think they really nailed Ming-Na Wen's look. And then yeah, the alien like seems like Silas Slytherin or something. I don't know, something like that.
Mm.
Silas something. Um, he was pretty cool. Pretty cool look. I think the best part of the episode though was for sure Omega and Crosshair like having their like one-on-one conversation. I think that was the highlight of the episode for me, just because it's kind of like helping Crosshair's character develop more and more. And to me, unfortunately, I think all of these Crosshair moments are building to him getting taken out by the end of this. I feel like we have a hero sacrifice coming in the next 5 weeks or something. Um, but so I think these are just like moments that are kind of like building for Crosshair like long term, like in our subconsciouses, like just to have that happen. So yeah, overall, I thought the episode was fine.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot to dig in on this one, honestly. And I mean, it's cool seeing the boat. I like seeing boats in Star Wars. It's not the only time we're gonna see one. We're gonna talk about one pretty quick here, but yeah, it was fine. There's really not much to write home about with this one. I have a couple notes here. I've quickly gone through all of them. It's like, yeah, we're gonna just have this episode, but so I would just give this one 7.5 out of 10. Like you said, it wasn't bad. It just it could have done more.
To me, like this episode falls squarely in the category of we had him here and there in Clone Wars, but it's just another Clone Wars episode. It's fine. And like I went into it too, like when I watched it, even last week I watched it, and even I watched it last week, and then I watched it again
Oh.
before this newest episode, just because I was just getting up and just getting around. So I had it on. I wasn't like intently watching it, but
Okay.
I had it on and let it play while I was making breakfast before I watched, the episode we're gonna review next. So I had it on and like I'd still reinforced it. It was just a 7. It's fine. Like yeah, it was all right. Like the good moments, it was Finnick. It was the Crosshair and Omega one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of where it stops. I was interested to see though, I mean, of course we got to confirm in the next episode who Fennec's contact was, but
Yeah.
I was interested to see though, when I watched last week, was her contact actually going to be that person, or was that person going to run into the Bad Batch independently and her contact be someone else? And it turned out to be who we thought it was.
Yeah.
So that kind of like got wrapped up, but yeah, overall it's a fine 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gosh, that was our fastest breakdown of an episode of all time on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. It just not much, because especially this next episode, I think we have a lot more to talk about, and that
Oh
is
yeah.
episode 9, The Harbinger. And just for a reminder, this was the episode that the reviewers out there didn't get a chance to see. So everybody's on the same playing field again. Nobody knows what's coming. Although there was a lot of cryptic teases going on from official channels on Twitter the night before, like, ooh, even Jen Corbett was saying something, and I was like, okay, this is the Asajj episode. And sure enough, it was. And I like how this episode didn't waste any time. We immediately see Omega following Batcher around and finds her in the cavern. And yes, as you said, she admits that, FedEx Shan sent her. That was very quick with her getting back there with the information. We learn all about the M count. This is one of those classic Star Wars episodes of somebody finding out that they're force sensitive, and then they're immediately thrown into the mix trying to train. Get a lot of Ahsoka Sabine vibes in here, getting obviously a lot of New Hope vibes in here. But I like how this episode handled Asajj Ventress. It just I think they handle it really well for people that haven't watched Clone Wars. Like, this could be any character, doesn't have a lot of baggage. Us as the viewers were watching with bated breath, be like, how'd she survive? Are they gonna say it? And
Hmm.
then they didn't say it. And then if you go on StarWars.com the next day or the day of, they were saying, "Oh, her future will be revealed in future content or her past or whatever." So that was interesting the way they worded that. But yeah, it was a great episode because it's answering a question that we've all been thinking about for a long time. What is so special about Omega? And we're getting to see that explored from her perspective of learning herself what the M count is, what it does. And it's really great action. Some of the best animation I've seen because the way they do the water effects on the hair and everything, it's just next level. That is just insane how well they render that. Again, more boat stuff, but yeah, awesome stuff. And finally, it felt like a backdoor pilot because like everything ends all nice and Asajj Ventress goes her own way. I don't know if we'll ever see her again because everything we've seen in the trailers was in this episode with her. But it just leaves so much room to be like, this felt like the Bad Batch arc in Clone Wars final season where it's like, well, that kind of felt left out of left field with these characters and they're done so well, then sure enough, hey, that's our next series. So I think we got some good spin-off material off of this episode here. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Ben?
I mean, to me, this is probably because I watched this one twice actually, twice since yesterday. But I think this episode is probably like I could make an argument for it being potentially like the best episode of this
Same.
season so far, just because like everything about it, like you have all the great stuff with Ventress, you have her training Omega, you have us finding out Omega is potentially could be force sensitive. I mean, well, she has the potential to be force sensitive, and be a Jedi. And you have, I mean, you even have good action sequences. You have, Ventress and the Batch getting in a scuffle when Omega's out and about. And see, this is one thing I've been very critical a lot about the way Disney has portrayed Jedi, to say the least, or Jedi or Force users, to say the least, to some degree on certain extents. But it's nice to see them, like, even in this show, all right, like the Bad Batch is really skilled, but at the end of the day, like a Force user with lightsabers, like if that fight would have went on, probably, I mean, all the Bad Batch members would have been toast at the end of it, because like, I mean, Ventress was ready to kill him right there, potentially. So like, it's great seeing like the power levels be balanced or be in a good, like portrayed in a good way. And then also, of course, like setting up the mystery of Omega. Like you knew when Ventress talked to Omega, you knew she was lying right off the bat, and Crosshair and them called her out on it. And it's great, like getting that. Like you said, it's kind of like a backdoor pilot almost. I think that's kind of what I was thinking as well. Because like this episode, you could watch this in standalone, away from the season, basically. Throw away the Fennec information, and this feels like a one-off episode. So you have that, and I just think overall just feels really good, and it feels like Ventress's character feels consistent, and on top of it, they did just enough for the people that hasn't watched Clone Wars or Rebel or any other Star Wars content with Ventress in it. They threw it in there. Hey, she's a separatist war criminal. That's all you need to know. And like it's cool seeing that. And also one more thing, and before I end my opening little commentary on this episode, is I just, in both viewings of this episode, just the look of Ventress. I think Ventress, arguably, the way they made her look, the way they made her face look in the cave, like when she like turns around and is talking to the Batch, all these things, just the visuals on Ventress's character, I think has been probably the best out of this season so far. Like she looks perfect. Like her character is striking, like just the way her character looks. Like I said, it just in those dark sequences in the lighting, like when she's standing at the opening of the cave and all that, like it just makes you makes you look at her character. Like they really have stepped up the animation this season for sure, and like her character really highlights that.
Yeah, I love the character progression that we see from Clone Wars, from her leaving the Separatists, getting betrayed by Dooku, doing her own thing with bounty hunting, and then all this time later now showing up in this, and she's we've never seen her like so calm, kind of like, she's just like very Jedi like, and she's got the yellow
Mm.
saber, and we get to see her training somebody. I gotta see more of this. That's what I was thinking. Because I gotta see a show about her training Omega, because it's
Well,
just so cool just seeing those two working together.
oh, for sure. Here's the thing to think about, Chris. So the episode was called The Harbinger. You
Yeah.
know, is this the Harbinger related to this show of Omega having the Force? Or is this just the Harbinger? We're going to look back on it and like maybe we get like a confirmation from them once the season is over where they're like, oh yeah, the episode was called The Harbinger because it's the Harbinger, like, signaling a new show is coming.
Oh, I didn't think about it from that angle.
Like like
That's
like more meta, you know what I mean? Like outside the show, like more for us.
yeah.
Because I mean,
Hmm.
Harbinger means like something's coming, basically, like it's a
Yeah, you're
warning.
right. You're right. You're right. It is a warning. Huh.
So just a thing to think about there, just to throw out for our listeners and even you. It's like I was like, it could be in the show context for Omega, but it could be for us as well.
Yeah, and it was really neat with her fighting against all the Bad Batch. And she's
Mm.
like, "You're really gonna take me down with those?" And the weapons drop, and they're just fighting hand to hand. She's like, "I really didn't want to have to kill you." It's like pretty funny. And
Hmm.
then Omega comes in, and she's just like force choking one of them or something. And it's just like they're all on the ground. It's like, yeah, she could have easily handled them if she really wanted to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was great getting to see that displayed, like that power level. Like I said, I feel like they've done good on some of these power level examples. So it's nice seeing that. Um and it just shows how, like, again, it kind of harkens back to Mando season 2 finale. Like, we see Din struggle with the Dark Troopers. Then you have
Mm-hmm.
Luke come in. You have Luke come in and just walk through them because he's Luke Skywalker.
Yep.
And it's great seeing, like, we've seen the Bad Batch do these awesome things, all these awesome missions, and then when they run into a Force user, doesn't matter because the Force user is 100 times more stronger than them. So like, it's just cool seeing them scaling the power level in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's just like it makes you wonder too, like, um, do we see them run into anyone else like with the Force potentially? Because like it's I'm just so intrigued to see where this story goes because of Omega. Like, I mean, heck, the Harbinger, like, I was saying the warning, Ventress literally gives the warning as well about the
Mm-hmm.
Empire, and the Empire will, hunt her down and all this stuff. So it just makes you wonder who all from the Empire is going to be getting involved. Like, we know Palpatine literally said all, the full resources of the Empire is at Hemlock's disposal. So it makes you wonder who else is going to be involved in this whole series hunting her down.
Well, maybe a guy with a dent in his helmet is what I'm thinking.
I know. I would love to see. I would love for this to be. I'm not sure exactly from my comics and canon, but like maybe this could be like Boba's first initial job with the Empire that he's done
You could be
potentially.
right on the money. I mean, that gets his reputation in the door. But yeah, he's a clone that's not, not tampered with. So maybe they trust him to find out where she is because he kind of thinks like her or something. But
Mm,
I mean, we see Cad Bane's going to be in it. So why not
yeah,
Boba Fett?
yeah, and I feel like since we haven't gotten Cad Bane yet, like when we get him, his stuff is going to be really cool. I think just kind of like this episode because like I don't know, when you bring in these hard hitting Clone Wars characters, like they just hit on a different level. I think.
Yeah, and the idea is like we have Daniel Logan, voice of Boba Fett from Clone Wars, already done like a very small role in one of the episodes. So it's like I have a feeling that that shows you that he might be in it because it's like, oh yeah, they're not gonna get him just to voice this character for like 5 lines.
Yeah, I
Like
would
he
say, what are they going to do?
probably,
Contract him $100 to read 2 lines or something?
yeah,
Like,
like he's probably like, oh yeah, we'll give you Boba Fett, and if you wouldn't mind, can you just do this one clone for us when you're already here? Okay. Like I could see that have been part of the deal. So I mean, what? How many episodes do we have left? Like 7 or something like that.
We have, because there's 15. We just finished the ninth, so that means we have uh 6 episodes left.
And there's 2 episodes next week, right?
I think we have one more two-parter, don't we?
Yeah,
I
two
think it,
episodes next week.
yeah, so that means I feel like that could either be if we get Boba or Cad. I could see that being a Cad Bane two-parter.
Mm. Yeah,
I
because,
mean,
Hunter has some unfinished business when it comes to Cad Bane. Oh wait, that episode came before or after they fought on that old Camino platform thing. I don't, it wasn't Camino, but it was another cloning facility. I'm trying to figure out like when the timeline was, but yeah, regardless of the fact, like there's definitely gonna be another matchup there if Cad Bane's in the picture. I can see that going that way.
oh yeah, I mean, I for sure could see that happening. And it's gonna be interesting because with him getting back involved, like it's gonna be, we get him, and maybe he does get the jump on them and recaptures Omega or something because like I don't know. I feel like Omega's gonna have to be in danger at some point again. Like they can't just keep protecting her. Like I feel like she's gonna have to be in danger. So like maybe we get Cad Bane capturing her. Maybe we get Boba capturing her or
Oh,
something.
what
Like,
if what if we see an Inquisitor trying to go after her?
mm, well, if he's, I mean, look, Asajj talks about how dangerous the Empire is and stuff. Like
Yep,
maybe we get some of these early Inquisitors,
yep.
um, because she does have, um, she's so important and everything. And then on top of it too, talking about that, that reminds me, that was a point I meant to bring up. A little detail. Um, is this the first time in on screen that we've seen under Disney that they mentioned midichlorians?
I think so. Yeah. Did they say the word
Yeah.
metachlorians? Yeah, I guess they did because
Yeah,
they said end
Azad,
count.
Azad, no, Azaj literally says midichlorians.
Oh.
So she literally said because it's when she's talking to Omega, um, when she's talking to Omega and like it's when Omega's like looking at her and she's walking kind of like into the cave or like a
Mm-hmm.
darker section or whatever, and she mentions the midichlor. She literally says midichlorian count. So it's like holy crap, is that the first time we've heard that word said actually?
Oh
Um,
man.
So I thought that was like a cool little name drop since they haven't really touched that word.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, come on now. It's just a word. I know it rubs people the wrong way, but just get over it. So it's good that they're just like owning it and just saying, okay, let's just
Yep.
say the damn thing, get it over with.
It's like Voldemort or whatever, like or Beetlejuice. Like, uh,
Ah. Oh man.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
I think we are heading in a really good direction, like with this show though, because like when we sit and watch these episodes, I'm not sure about you, like every week so far this season, it's like, man, where was this? Like in the past 2 seasons, because like this quality, if they would have had this quality, this would have been like the best Star Wars animated show potentially. But
Hmm.
since like you had all this rocky, very rocky rides with the other 2 seasons, it can't be. So like it's just great seeing it actually recorrect itself and like get on track. Um and like the quality is so good. Like I was talking to one of my friends, like, with these episodes of the show, it's kind of like, like I've said with our sports analogies here, we have 9 episodes, the eighth episode was kind of whatever. So, you could say that was kind of a loss. But even at that, like this show is probably 7-2, 8-1 on the season on a record wise. So like that's a great job compared to
Yep.
before we're 10 episodes in and we're 2-8 or something. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's great. It's great just seeing them really get the quality, really get the stories like tight knit to these episodes. Like it's just I say it every week, but it's exciting to actually be happy or be excited going into the next episode of Star Wars. Like next week, I'm already excited for next week's episode because this week was so good. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a great feeling that it's like, hey, we have good Star Wars content back.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I kind of got it's kind of a reach. Another Jurassic reference in this episode. And actually, somebody else thought I was talking about another one, so I guess I'll mention that one as well. But what I was thinking of in the beginning of the episode was when Omega was like going on the beach and she was just like getting lost and like following Batcher. That reminded me of in the beginning of The Lost World when there's that
Of the
little
kid with,
girl and the
yep,
compies and she goes around and she gets killed by the compies.
yeah, that's honestly what I thought of too. Because like
Oh,
now you, yeah, no, that is, I'm serious. That's what I thought of yesterday when I first watched it, and then today when I rewatched it, I was like, yeah, that does kind of feel like that because I had that written down in my little because before we do our episodes each week, I always like put a couple bullet points in my notes on my
yep,
iPhone,
yep.
and that was one of them. I wrote down Omega Beach
Oh
as a
my
reminder because
gosh.
yeah, because the thing is um since we've gone down the Jurassic Park rabbit hole with this show, like now I look for some of those references and like, that 100% could feel like the opening of that movie where you have the kid running with the copies and all that stuff. Like so like I had that wrote down as a thing to bring up by the end of this.
Oh man, yeah. And then when I was mentioning that to like one of my friends, he's like, "Oh, did you mean the part where they were in the boat and it was kind of like the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3?" And
Oh,
I
I
was
didn't
like,
even
"Oh
think about
crap, I didn't
that.
even think about that." So
Gosh,
there you
gosh,
have it.
yeah, gosh, we were going for the more detail or more minor type thing, and he went for a big moment we didn't even think about.
Yeah, so it's great that this moment finally lived up to the hype.
Mm.
Again, here's the thing. If they were so forward with giving us that big reveal in the trailer, what could they be hiding from us for these next 6 episodes? You know what I mean? It's like that's what gets me really curious.
Yeah, I would love for them to do like we already know Cad's coming. Um, but like you said, what's being hidden? I think to me, what's being hidden, it's either you're gonna get like a big boomer like Vader coming in and taking people out or something by the end, or like I think there's a chance Vader could come in. I mentioned it in prior weeks. Like maybe Vader comes in at the end, and then like the Bad Batch escapes or something. Like maybe it's something like that. But like if we don't get Vader, I think there's a chance we do get like a Boba Fett type thing because what character, you know, what character would be like bigger being hidden? Like, of course, Vader's a huge one, but like you said, is it like maybe Boba, where Boba, like you said, maybe he gets his first. Maybe this is the job that gives him the reputation of being
Mm.
like the best bounty hunter in the galaxy and all this stuff. Like maybe this could be the thing. Like he captures Omega for the Empire and like we've seen like this is my kind of like head canon of where this could be going potentially if we do get Boba. Like think about it from this angle. We've seen all these good things of Omega, like good-hearted about clones, good-hearted about clones. Like she's able to talk to all these bad people, like help people turn good, like Crosshair, like turn good. All these bad people turn good. What if we get her? She is a growing character and learning lessons. What if she learns a lesson that like not everybody can be changed, and
Mm.
Boba is a stone cold bounty hunter. Like, what if she says, "Hey, you're a clone like me," blah 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 blah, whatever, and he's just like, "I don't care. Like, I have a job to do." Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe we get something like that where it's a character learning that sort of a lesson. So I
Mm.
think there's a big potential there because especially like early in the past seasons we've heard them mention Boba several times, the Alpha and the Omega and all these things. Like I mean they could have just name dropped him just to name drop him, but like you mentioned before, like we have Daniel Logan on site recording a few lines. Like, did you really fly him in or just get him to go to a sound booth wherever he's at just to read two or three lines? Like, I don't buy that. So for me, I feel like Boba probably is coming, and that might be a big, really big episode.
Yeah, I just hope that he has like different armor than original trilogy.
Mm.
Because spoiler alert, you've had plenty of time to play it by now. Boba Fett pops up in Jedi Survivor, and he's got like the same exact armor as
Yep.
he does in Empire Strikes Back. So I like how in the Clone Wars he has like this unique armor. So I would like to see now that we're like what a couple months or a year or so after Revenge of the Sith at this point, like give us like a progression of that kind of ramshackled armor, but not quite what we see in Empire or whatever. So yeah, I would like for them to throw that in the
Hey,
mix.
hey, here's something maybe go out on a limb. I'm not sure if they've addressed this at all in canon yet, but what if Star Wars loves to like reference itself. That is something they do. So what if what if we get a thing like maybe obviously I don't think I don't think Boba will kill any of the main Bad Batch members just because like I don't know if they would go that dark or something.
Mm.
But what if we get something where like Boba, I don't know, disintegrates some piece of information or something in this as like a nod to the Vader line of hey, no disintegrations. And like, from Empire Strikes Back, like maybe we get like a little Easter egg like that of like Boba just like blowing something up or like where it's like kind of tying back to that Vader reference if he's on like this Imperial job.
Oh.
Because that's never been addressed. Like I haven't heard. I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard you bring that up. I don't think even like us talking about it. So like, I don't remember it being addressed. So like maybe if they do go with Boba, maybe we get a little nod to Empire.
Yeah, I think the no disintegrations comes from a book or something.
Does
If I'm
it?
not mistaken, yeah.
Mm, yeah, I don't know. Either way, I think they're heading in a good direction though with this show because, like I said, next week a two-parter. It's probably Cad Bane if you had to guess. Like just because I feel like he's deserving of a two-parter. But it just makes
Hmm.
you wonder who's going to be in the final four
Quinlan.
after that.
Quinlan
Oh yeah,
Voss. Gotta
Quinlan would
be.
be. Oh man, I would love to see Quinlan.
I've been waiting for that guy to come back into Star Wars for such a long time. They've been teasing him in Darth Vader comics, in the Obi-Wan series. What better time to
Even
bring him
in
back now with his previous lover of Asajj Ventress? Oh man.
even in Phantom Menace, the little 2 second brief flyby of him.
Yeah, yeah. So, final thoughts, a score out of 10 on this one. I'll throw it to you for that.
For me, like I said, I think this is probably the best episode of this season so far. Just for all the mentions we've talked about, like we've had such a good time with this episode. It actually makes you excited for Star Wars next week. Like that's one bar I've learned to I've learned over the years of Disney Plus Star Wars is like you want to be excited for next week because we've had situations where whether it be like for me personally like Andor or Boba Fett or Mando season 3 where it's like you watch an episode and it's like oh boy, hopefully next week is good because this week was really shaky.
Yeah.
And like now with Bad Batch, instead of us feeling like that where we're just white knuckling it until next Wednesday, it's like, oh, we're actually excited and we have faith because they've built up a good amount of credibility this season to, to do this. Because like I had this conversation with my friend before at the beginning of this season because we joked, we said, hey, the Bad Batch premiere was really good for these first 3 episodes, but with this show's history, there's a chance we could go 6 episodes in a row and it be just shaky, 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 shaky. So like for them just proving to us that like they have it in them to make really good episodes, it's great and like it gives me faith going into next week where it's like, hey, we probably have a good episode coming up next week,
Hmm.
especially since two-parter. So you have those. But overall for this week's episode, I think it was by far the best of the season, um, just because of all the things we've talked about. And yeah, I would have to give this episode a 9.3.
Hmm. I'll give it. I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9, which is it's equal to one of the other episodes I reviewed. Of which one I forget which one, but again, leaving room for improvement because there's still a lot of the season left. But this was as good as I could have imagined. Right, this was not a letdown in the slightest. I like how they dealt with Asajj Ventress. As for the viewers that are knowing of the character, or to the people that are new to this show, and like you said, it's like all we have to know is she's a war criminal, All right, that's why
Yep.
the Bad Batch is uneased. That you don't have to get a whole exposition on the character. It's not necessary. Just give that quick little aside. Like they are not comfortable because they used to be fighting the Separatists, and this is an ex-Separatist leader here. So what's going on? How can they trust her? But it's Omega, and they care about Omega, and it's about trusting her. So from like a deeper level, this episode really works because it gets into the trust and relationships of these characters, which Star Wars is ultimately a character driven series in general, the saga. So it's good to see that you know giving into that. But yeah, oh man, we are winding
Yeah.
down. Before you know it, it's already going to be May 1st, and we're going to be sad that this series is over. But we
Well,
are enjoying the ride, that's for sure.
oh yeah. Hey, the good thing is, I mean, we're gonna roll from this show ending straight into the Phantom Menace, literally the next day, May the 2nd, probably. So
Yeah.
like that's something to think about. We're gonna literally roll right from one Star Wars thing to the next. So we'll actually have something. Um, well, I mean, think for us personally on this podcast, we'll be talking about the Bad Batch finale and Phantom Menace re-release that weekend.
Yep. And
Um,
then a couple weeks later, we'll be
so
talking about the Acolyte. So
yeah, so
it's
it's
just all
trending in a
coming
really good
together.
direction.
It's all coming together. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
so there you have it. There you go, strapping in for just about a 2-hour episode on this week. That's what happens when I go away. Star Wars news hits us like an avalanche. So that was really fun, just covering the latest in the gambit between action figures to live action series to animated series and everything in between. Thanks for joining me tonight, Ben.
yeah, no problem at all. Oh yeah, quick little a little recall back to the beginning of the episode for any of our people that are still listening now. My friend commented into our chat and was like, yeah, getting hugged by Hayden was one of the happiest moments of my life. so, um, so yeah, it's just great always talking Star Wars this week or each week, whether it be here on the podcast or with friends and family. Just because Star Wars I think is trending in a good direction right now, so it's nice to have that back in the fandom. But
Yes.
yeah, so for me, wrapping things up, you can find me on X and Instagram at Real Ben Maynard. Especially on Instagram, I'm like posting my workouts every day now. So like follow me on there, connect with me, chat, whatever. I'm always happy to talk about fitness stuff. And then you can find our other co-host Milton at Milton Weber 7 on Twitter, and then Milton 7 Weber on Instagram. And he always posts his like workouts as well, or he'll share like funny wrestling memes and things like that. So you can give him a follow too.
All right. Yes. And you can follow me here on this very channel, youtube.com/Starrapter. And you can find us on any podcast streaming service. Just look up Outer Rim Transmission. We still have t-shirts available on teespring.com. Just look up Outer Rim Transmission. Again, just a recap of the convention I went to over the weekend, PAX East in Boston. I have a vlog on this very channel. And I also have my blog of that and other sites I've seen in Boston. That's starrapter.substack.com. So for Milton who couldn't be here, for Ben, that's gonna do it. For Outer Rim Transmission, this was episode 146. Take care, everybody. May the force be with you always. And transmission.